Parsha Naso talks about the census, leprosy, and it talks about the issue of sota. Rabbi, what is a sota?
Sota, it's a woman that the husband suspected of being unfaithful. And the Torah is here as a living Torah, try to help the situation, try to help restore peace in the house.
And how does the Torah tell us to restore peace in the house with the issue of a sota, of a woman who commits or is suspected of committing adultery?
Okay, first and foremost, the whole formula in the Torah, it's a formula in ancient time, but it has a lot of application. The idea is that there is all kind of bad feeling between two partners. They're living together, sometimes they have the family together, and what happened while they have their relationship, something happened and they suspected of the partners of being unfaithful. They feel that something happened. And as a result, it's a lot of bumpers between them. So the Torah is there to help, try to restore peace between them, try to find a way. So they, in ancient time, they have this formulation of taking a name of God written on a special scroll by the Kohen, full name of God that we don't pronounce, put that name on the scroll, have it erased with the water, and then let the woman drink it. In that sense, it's just a formula to restore peace, but it's a lot of explanations of the Talmud and the Rabbi, what's involved with this.
God says to Moses, take a census of the sons of Gershon. That was one of the sons of Levi and their fathers and everyone, and then it kind of breaks off and it goes into this whole issue of the sota. Why, is there any sort of connection between these two?
Each and every one is important. The Naso, it's the idea that every single person is important. We count everyone, we count every tribe, every person is important. In that sense, every family dynamic, family relationship, crisis in the family, domestic violence, and anything that happened within the family, we care. The same way as we care for individuals and their own happiness and healing, we care also in the families, because it starts with the family, so it's all connected to each other.
But why does the Torah only talk about a woman who commits adultery? Why not a man who commits adultery? Why does he not have to do the same things that a woman has to do in ascertaining whether or not she has been faithful to her spouse?
The answer is, number one, remember the Torah, the way that the Torah was described is 3,300 years ago. Mm-hmm. But furthermore, the rabbis tells us that if he wasn't faithful, that formula will not work. In other words, the rabbis deliver in a long discussion in the Talmud and other resources that it has to have a combination of him being very loyal and her being disloyal in order to make it happen. Furthermore, there is a conception of modernity in that sense. The Torah is speaking about formula in ancient time, but in our modern days is the idea that if there is a crack, is issues within the family, we should talk about it, we should do counseling, we should try to reconcile it. It goes so far that God said, Ra'ui hu shmi she'imacheh alamayim. It is worth it to have my name, the holy of holy names that we not even pronounce, to put in writing and erase in the water, which is one of the violations of the Torah and the Ten Commandments, in order to restore peace in the house. So it goes to show that how important the peace in the house. Again, put it in the right perception. The Torah, 3,300 years ago. And nowadays, it goes both ways. In a sense, it's not that we're asking someone to drink, but when it's come to loyalty, there's always two sides of the story. And our goal is to really help the people. The Torah is there to help people, especially in a time of crisis.
Parsha Naso also speaks not only about the sota, but it also speaks about the issue of purifying and cleansing the camp of the Israelites. And it says, and I want to maybe read a passage to you. It says, command the children of Israel that they shall expel from the camp everyone with sara'at, everyone who has, and everyone contaminated by a human corpse, male and female alike you shall expel. To the outside of the camp shall you expel them. What is sara'at? I've heard isn't it leprosy? And what's
it's a form of leprosy.
But why does the Torah specifically speak about this disease as opposed to why this focus mainly on this disease as opposed to any other disease out there?
So there are 2 points here. First, again, the time, the historical context. They are travelers. And because there is issue of contamination, dermatologic issues with some type of skin diseases and diseases that connected with dead and impurities, then you need to isolate people. In the modern days, you see a lot of isolation for people who are contaminated. In the Midrashic view, it's the idea that people who receive these plagues, this leprosy, as a result of evil gossip, speaking Lashon Hara and doing all kind of cruel, bad mouthing over other people, and as a result they get that. So in order for them to restore their life and being better people, they need to be isolated, have a self-search, and in that sense they will be able to purify themselves emotionally and then for sure physically.
So the Torah is saying that through physical isolation from other people, you're able to spiritually cleanse yourself.
Yes, because when you are in a state of isolation, you are in a seclusion, you have a time to meditate and to realize. It's like putting someone in a jail. So he has a chance to make a self-search, to think why things happen to me, why I'm in such a situation. And that bring him to teshuvah and to do a better and to understand what exactly happened, why he create for himself this place.
We are human and we are always sinning. Then why are we not living like monks all the time, constantly in isolation from other people, praying and studying all the time? Because I went to Jewish day school, and one of the main things that my teachers always taught me was, Judaism does not believe we are not a religion of isolation. No man is alone. But if that's the case, then why here it's saying to become spiritually cleansed, you have to be alone?
Yes, but here it's a short period of time. It's like Miriam. She talked Lashon Hara about her brother Moses. She's out for a period of time. It's days. It's a matter of days. It's not forever. It's some type of punishment in a sense of self-search for a person, giving him or her an opportunity to evaluate their lives. But we are not religion of isolation, being apart from society and try to create your life as a monk. We oppose it. Later in the Parsha, when we speak about Nazirite, we oppose this type of life. We not encourage. The rabbi have a very strong opposition against this attitude. That's not Judaism. We believe in a life of society as helping each other. Sinners, we all making mistakes, we all making errors. That's the beauty in life. The Torah is here to help us overcome those errors, those mistakes that we make. And isolation for a short period of time is like you're taking a kid. You mentioned day school. Take a kid outside of the class, and you said you are out for an hour or two. So you start thinking what you did and understand that you made poor choices, and now is the time to restore your life for better.
For those who aren't so familiar with Parsha Naso, what is a Nazir?
Nazir is a Nazirite, someone who either took upon himself a vow saying that I commit myself, for example, not to shave for a certain period of time, not to drink certain thing, not to enter the certain domain. He can put this upon himself, or he can put it upon others that connected to him in that sense. And it's a lot of complications how he said it, what he said, and how things affected him, because we take every word the person said seriously. So in a sense, a person who wants to do it, in general we oppose it, but sometimes there are some cases that Nazirite is a positive thing. If a person feels that that's the only way for him to put a boundary against his failure point, addiction or other mistakes he make, so sometimes it's encouraged if it's a for sure supervised and is a short times and is in a certain restrictions. But in general, Nazirite is not something that Judaism encourage.
Why are some of the things that this Parsha talks about not talked about in Sefer, in the book of Vayikra, in the book of Leviticus, which is a book that focuses primarily on cleanliness, the Mishkan, the tabernacle, family laws, honor, other things like that?
The Torah does not have a chronological order, which means in Hebrew you call it Ein Mukdam U'Meuchar b'Torah. Is no seder, is no order in the Torah. Now, as far as the Bamidbar, the book is specifically wilderness, desert. The Jewish people are in a desert. If you look at the Ten Commandments, you see a change in the Ten Commandments between the book of Exodus to the book of Deuteronomy. They took, for example, the wife first when it's come to coveting. The realization is that Moses and the leadership understand that while they are in the desert, there are problems. There are family purity issues, there are problems with people behavior, their moral issues, and more. So while they are wandering in the desert, prepare themselves for the good future of promised land, things happen and instructions involved with how to handle things, and especially since they are the desert, is most appropriate to discuss it when you're building a nation.
This Parsha talks mainly about the importance of each individual in the community and the importance of those individuals to avoid sinning against God and their fellow men.